Defense Secretary James Mattis says the U.S. is urging Saudi Arabia to do everything possible to avoid the loss of innocent lives in Yemen. It comes after a new United Nations report accusing a Saudi-led coalition of committing war crimes, rape, and torture. Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby has more from the Pentagon. Good evening, Wyatt.
Good evening, Lauren. Secretary Mattis says U.S. support for Saudi Arabia is not unconditional, even as the Pentagon backs their fight against terrorists in Yemen. Mattis says the U.S. will do everything they can to limit civilian deaths.
We recognize the complexity of it. At no time have we felt rebuffed or ignored when we bring concerns to them.
Defense Secretary James Mattis addressing concerns today about the 3.5-year conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. The UN Human Rights Council says both sides are guilty of war crimes, saying they've committed torture, attacks on people's dignity, rape, recruitment, or enrollment or use of children under the age of 15.
We recognize every mistake like this is tragic in every way, but we have not seen any callous disregard by the people we're working with.
During a rare press conference at the Pentagon, Secretary Mattis also addressed topics like a proposed Space Force, Cyber Command, terrorism, and North Korea. Mattis announced they have no plans to suspend any future military exercises with South Korea. Several joint drills had been suspended this year as part of diplomatic talks with the North.
We will work very closely, as I said, with the Secretary of State, and what he needs done, we will certainly do to reinforce his effort, but at this time, there is no discussion about further suspensions.
Mattis promising those measures are not an effort to provoke North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The secretary did, however, point the finger at Iran's leadership, accusing them of causing mischief in Iraq and Syria and supporting Syrian President Bashar Assad. Mattis vows to hold Iran's government responsible for their actions in the Middle East. Mattis touched on a number of issues important to the wider Middle East. The Pentagon is concerned about Turkey's plan to buy a Russian air defense system, for example. Mattis says the U.S. and fellow NATO allies take a dim view of such a move. Lauren?
Wyatt, did Secretary Mattis talk about the passing of Senator John McCain?
He did, Lauren. The secretary called McCain a great patriot and says our military lost one of our most ardent supporters. He added that the senator served his country honorably as a naval officer, as a defiant prisoner of war, and as a leader in Congress. All the flags here at the Pentagon and around the nation's capital remain and have staff, and Secretary Mattis says he will attend the funeral. Lauren?
Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby reporting from the Pentagon. Thank you, Wyatt.